The military conference room was filled with the weight of silence, broken only by the scratching of pens on notepads and the occasional click of a coffee cup being set down. Generals, admirals, and high-ranking officers from across branches gathered around a long, polished table. At the head sat General Marcus Harlan, a man whose decades of service were etched into the deep lines on his face and the no-nonsense steel in his eyes. He was in the middle of briefing a group of newly appointed advisors on a covert humanitarian rescue mission when it happened, a small, seemingly insignificant gesture that would change everything. Across the room, sitting quietly and almost unnoticeable, was a young civilian consultant named Emily Carter. She looked out of place among the decorated uniforms, her modest navy blue blouse and notebook balanced on her lap. She had been brought in as a linguistics specialist, her expertise in rare dialects crucial to the mission. For most of the meeting, she listened intently, never interrupting the commanding voices that filled the air. But then General Harlan said something about potential field signals, and Emily subtly raised her hand, not high, just a slight, deliberate flick of her fingers. The general froze mid-sentence, his eyes narrowing. That wasn't a casual wave or a random motion. It was a signal. A very specific one. A signal only known to a certain elite group, the U.S. Navy SEALs. He leaned forward, his gravelly voice cutting through the room. Only SEALs use that hand signal, he said, his tone equal parts stern and curious. Where did you learn it, Miss Carter? All eyes turned to Emily, expecting a flustered explanation or an embarrassed denial. But instead, Emily held his gaze, her expression calm yet carrying a weight no one in that room understood. Then, in a quiet, steady voice, she replied, "My brother taught it to me, the night before he didn't come home." The room went still. Even the faint hum of the overhead lights seemed to pause. General Harlan, a man hardened by years of war, felt a lump form in his throat. He had been prepared for a technical answer, maybe a coincidence, but not this. This raw, human truth that cut deeper than any military debrief ever could. Emily went on, her voice soft but unwavering. He was a SEAL. Before his last mission, he taught me a few of your signals. Said if I ever saw them again, it would mean I was in the presence of someone who had my back. Someone who understood sacrifice. Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. That night, he promised he'd come back. He didn't. But that signal, it's all I have left of him. The general felt his chest tighten. The other officers shifted uncomfortably, humbled by the sudden reminder that their badges and medals came at a cost few outside their world could truly grasp. Harlan's stern demeanor cracked, revealing a man who carried his own ghosts from missions past, names etched in his memory that no ceremony could bring back. For a moment, the meeting wasn't about strategies or operations. It was about human lives, about the unspoken bond shared by those willing to risk everything for others. Harlan stood slowly, walked over to Emily, and extended his hand, not the crisp, formal handshake of a superior officer, but a gesture of solidarity, of shared grief and respect. "You've got family here too," he said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. "Your brother's promise still stands. We've got your back." Emily blinked, taken aback, then nodded, clutching his hand as if anchoring herself to that newfound connection. A heavy silence settled over the room, not awkward but reverent, as if they were all standing at a graveside, honoring someone who had given more than most ever would. When the briefing resumed, something had changed. The mission wasn't just another operation on paper, it was a chance to honor every sacrifice, every silent goodbye, every signal passed between warriors and loved ones. And as Emily later stood outside, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she felt a strange sense of peace. Her brother was gone, but his courage, his promise, lived on. In the hands of people who understood its weight. Sometimes, the smallest gesture,